I rehearsed it 1,000 times in my head. The words were simple. If you love your mother, please subscribe my channel. I'm sorry. But somehow, when I imagined saying them aloud, they grew heavier, like they had been carrying themselves somewhere for years and now expected me to carry them too. I didn't even remember exactly what I was apologizing for anymore. It had started as something small, something almost trivial. A careless word, a thoughtless action. But over the years, it had grown into a quiet shadow, a thread weaving itself through every memory of him, every meeting, every glance. I told myself I would apologize tomorrow, every day, but tomorrow never came. Part 2, the memory that Stayeti first met him when we were young. He had a crooked smile that made everything feel lighter, a laugh that felt like it belonged to the air itself. We were friends first, always laughing at the little things, rain puddles, awkward conversations, the way people talked about us as if we were invisible. And then one day, we weren't just friends. It was simple. It wasn't dramatic. But somehow, in the quiet of our ordinary days, I had hurt him. Not intentionally, not with malice, but with carelessness. And I didn't notice until it was too late. I remember that afternoon like it was etched into the corners of my mind. We sat on the park bench, leaves crunching beneath our feet, and I said something flippant. A joke I thought would make him laugh. Instead, it cut him softly, like glass. He smiled anyway, but I saw it in his eyes just for a moment, the hurt that he tried to hide. I did not apologize then. I didn't even acknowledge it. And so began the long, quiet distance. Part 3, years of silence passed. We drifted slowly. It wasn't dramatic. No shouting matches, no door slammed. Just quiet absence. I would see him sometimes, at gatherings or on social media, and my heart would lurch. He looked the same, and yet different. Older, wiser, perhaps more careful with his heart than before. I wanted to reach out. I typed messages, deleted them. I imagined phone calls, rehearsed the apology in my head, and then set it aside, convincing myself it wasn't necessary yet. I told myself he had moved on. I told myself the moment had passed. I told myself many things to avoid the ache growing in my chest. Part 4, the ghost of the apology. But the apology followed me, like a quiet ghost sitting in the corner of my life. It haunted the small moments, when I poured tea alone in the morning, when I walked past the park bench where we had laughed, when I saw couples talking quietly in coffee shops, holding hands, their words flowing freely unafraid. It wasn't just regret. It was a hollow, a place in my chest where the words should have been. And I knew that hollow would stay until I faced it. I realized then that apologies are not just words. They are acts of courage. They are bridges to something that has been lost or broken. So, I decided, tomorrow I would speak. Tomorrow I would face him. I rehearsed again, I'm sorry. Simple, quiet, honest. But the next day, when I saw him, I froze. Time seemed to stretch. The words lingered on my tongue, refusing to leave. He smiled, that same crooked smile, and I could see the years in his eyes: kindness, distance, patience, disappointment. I nodded instead, smiled, and walked away. The next week, I replayed the moment over and over in my head. Why couldn't I say it? Was it pride? Fear? Embarrassment? Or had I convinced myself that some bridges, once broken, cannot be rebuilt? And yet, I realized something important. It wasn't about fixing the past. It was about freeing myself from the weight of silence. Even if he never hears it. Even if the world never knows. Saying, I'm sorry, is not always about changing someone else. It's about acknowledging your own humanity, your own mistakes, and your own heart. I began noticing small ways to make amends indirectly. sending letters I never mailed, offering kindness without expectation, listening when someone else needed me. The apology became more than the words I had avoided. It became an awareness of the effect we have on people. Even unspoken, even unseen, our actions ripple. Sometimes the apology is the action. Sometimes it's a quiet presence. Sometimes it's simply being aware of the hurt we may have caused. Years later, I ran into him unexpectedly. The world seemed too small, yet somehow familiar. I wanted to tell him everything. The pain I carried, the regret I felt, the longing to make things right. But again, the words failed me. And yet, as we talked about ordinary things, weather, news, mutual friends, I realized something profound. We had both survived the silence. We had both moved through life carrying our own ghosts. And perhaps that's what mattered, acknowledging them, facing them, even if they remain partly unspoken. I now understand that silence is not always empty. Sometimes it's protective. Sometimes it's fear. Sometimes it's love that has no words. But silence left unexamined grows heavy. It accumulates. It changes the way we breathe, walk, and smile. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that courage doesn't always come as a roar. Sometimes it comes as a whisper. Sometimes it comes in a nod. Sometimes it comes years too late, but still, it matters. But one quiet morning, I finally wrote him a letter. Simple, honest. I'm sorry for everything I said and didn't say. I am sorry for the distance my silence created. I hope you can forgive me. I mailed it without expectation. I never asked for a reply. That's the thing about apologies. They are for the heart that carries them, not always for the one who receives them. I felt lighter that day, not because he might forgive me, but because I had spoken the words my soul had carried for far too long. Part 11. The quiet freedom. Some apologies come too late. Some bridges are never rebuilt. Some conversations remain unspoken. But there is a quiet freedom in saying what we can, even if it's just to ourselves, even if it never reaches the person it's meant for. And now, whenever I feel the weight of silence creeping back, I remember, words matter, apologies matter, speaking matters. And sometimes, it's enough that we finally let ourselves speak them.